Did everybody get the new titles added to their title pages?
Yes. Yeah.
Alrighty. All right. So we're starting on page 15. Somewhere on page 15, I'd like you to add the title Rotations. Anywhere you'd like to add it on there. Glue it underneath of your graph. No, it does not matter how much space. Whoop, 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 whoop. All righty. So we have put this piece in with one of those metal fasteners because rotations mean to do what? Rotate, which is, what's another word for rotate?
Spin.
Spin, turn. Look what this does. Woo! I'm sorry. You must have fastened it a little tighter than mine. Probably. So, I mean, you need to bring your own. I already gave you 2 weeks ago. Oh, it's hidden in his pocket. Look at that. He got a wallet in his pocket. Oh, no. Did you just say no? I said no. Why? Because I said wallet in his pocket. Wallet in your pocket. All right. So, right now we need to label the points of our figure. So, this top point is going to be point A. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger so you have an easier time seeing this. Okay, so we're going to label that one B, the one right below, or A, and the one right below it B, and the one off to the side is going to be C. Okay, I'll stop it again. So, what I need you to do is in the table, we need to put the original points where you see them right now. So, next to this one is going to be point A. Where is point A right now on the coordinate plane? We're going to write on the graph, but there's no room to put A and then the point. So I put it beside it.
2, 5, 5.
2, 5. So A is right now at 2, 5. B is at 2, 1. And point C. 6, 1. Good. Remember, it should always be X, Y. And if you don't remember that, guess what? They put it right here for you. Okay. So, the first thing we need to do is talk about clockwise versus counterclockwise. Which way are we rotating if we're rotating clockwise?
To the right.
To the right. Good. So, if we rotate clockwise, clockwise goes this way. Okay. They usually denote this with a C. Oh, sorry. That's up a little too high. My bad. Okay. So, they usually denote that with a C. We can also rotate counterclockwise, which is in the opposite direction. And they usually denote this with a CC. Okay? If you ever forget, there is a lovely clock in the front of the room that will never disappear. The way the hands rotate is clockwise, and the opposite way is counterclockwise. Okay? Use the things in the room to help you. Okay? All right. So, The first thing they want us to do is go 90 counterclockwise. So that means this is going to be like my starting point. If I rotate 90 clockwise, that means the arrow that points to the right will now point down. So over here was 0 degrees. Down here is 90 degrees clockwise, or otherwise known as 270 counterclockwise. Okay, so yes, add that in so you've got it. Okay, so 90 clockwise is the same thing as going 270 counterclockwise. So I can rotate once to the right or 3 times to the left, and I will end up in the same position. So now if you look at this graph, where is point A?
-6, -2.
5,
oh, 5.
-2. So we are now at 5, comma, -2. Where is point B at now? 1, -2. Does anybody see a pattern that's happening here yet?
They're flipping.
Okay, so we're taking the numbers and we're flipping them. And then what?
The X becomes the negative.
We change the sign of that second number then. So 6, 1, we should flip the points. This should be 1, 6. And then we change the sign of the second number. So it becomes -6. Okay. So most of you, when you were taught rotations before, they literally told you to take the paper and turn it and then find your points. You can always refer back to that. But in Math 2, we try to memorize the rules that happen. So my rule for this one is to take your Y and put it first, take your X and put it second, and change the sign of your X. So please be careful. This negative here does not mean that your X is going to be a negative number. This means change the sign. So if you need to somehow put that this means change the sign and not a negative, please somehow denote that that does not mean it's always going to be negative. So for instance, what I mean by that is if your starting point was -6, 5. Okay, my rule said to take my numbers and flip-flop them. So 5, -6. Then you need to change the sign. So this actually would become a positive then. Okay, it would not stay a negative. I'm also going to show you another way how to do this that I think is a lot easier than this. So if you're confused still yet, hang on tight. I got you. Okay. All right. 180 degrees. So we've gone 90. To go an extra 90 to 180, we rotate it one more time to the right. So this is 180 degrees. And that is clockwise or counterclockwise. 180 is neither counterclockwise or clockwise. You end up in the same spot no matter which direction you go. So if you look at your points now, where is point A? -2, -5. Where is point B?
-2, -1.
-2, -1. Okay, so do you see the pattern? Don't look at this column, look at your originals. So we went from 2, 5 to -2, -5.
They're both turning negative.
Okay, so your numbers don't switch when you do it 180. All you do is change the signs. So 6, 1 will be -6, -1. So we change the sign of X and change the sign of Y. That is your rule. Change the sign of X and change the sign of Y. Shelby's still dying on me over here. Don't do that. Okay. We need to go one more rotation to 270. So now we're up in the air. This is 270 clockwise, which is the same thing as 90 counterclockwise. So this is 270 clockwise or 90 counterclockwise. Where is A now?
Negative 5 and 2.
Negative 5, comma 2. Where is B?
Negative 1 and 2.
Negative 1 and 2. Okay, so again, go back to those original points. What has happened with this roll?
Negative x. Negative y, x.
Good. Okay, so again, 270. We flip-flop your numbers. And then you change the sign of your first number. So this is now change the sign of y, comma x, which means 6, comma 1 should be negative 1, comma 6. The last rotation I need to do is 360 degrees. What does that do?
Go all the way back.
It brings it all the way back around. So all of these points should look like your 360 degrees is a turn all around. 360 degrees is counterclockwise or clockwise. And your points don't change if we go 360. So we're still at 2, comma 5, 2, comma 1, and 6, comma 1. Any questions? Anybody still need this page up? All right. We are going to flip the page then. And we're going to go over to page 16, right behind page 15, where your metal bracket piece is. So let me show you how you're going to handle this page. So you've got everything together. This little square that says rotations and has a little definition on it with some blanks, you need to cut that out first. This little one that says rotations that looks like this, you're going to cut this out. So you're going to take this and you're going to glue it over that brass piece. So look, it disappears. Okay, then you're going to take the 3 that you had left over from that first page, and they're going to glue right underneath of this. Okay, make sure you leave room underneath because we're going to have to write stuff underneath of them.
Does it matter
what order these go in?
Yeah.
No, as long as you're on the one that we're doing at that time. So if you put them out of order from what I have, just make sure that you're doing the right one at the right time. Other than that, I do not care what order that they go in. Make sure they are facing the right way, though. The letters you should be able to read. They should not be sideways or upside down. Okay, so it should look like this. Brandon, my friend, here's the stuff in this yesterday. That way you can get your notebook cut up. You can either stay after and use mine to catch yourself up, or if you have a friend in here that wouldn't mind giving up theirs for you, so you can get yourself caught up. Does not matter to me. If you're ambitious and waiting for other people to finish, if you'd like to start trimming up the next page that we're going to do, it's the big rotation page. You just need to cut off the edges. Okay. So that'll be our next page if you're feeling ambitious and want to go ahead and get this cut so it's ready to go. It is going to need folded before we glue it in, so please do not glue it anywhere. We will be in a world of hurt when we go to do it. All right. Is everybody good and have everything glued on 16? Okay. So if you're cutting other things, I need you to halt for now so we can go over page 16, please. All right. So this is just a definition of what rotation means. A rotation is a transformation. Let me zoom in on this. In which a figure is turned about a fixed point. So this first blank is turned. And the fixed point that it turns around is called your center of rotation. Rotations can be clockwise or counterclockwise. You're so smart. And a rotation is an isometry. And remember, all that means is that your figures are congruent. They don't change size or shape. All they are is moved. So they are congruent. They are an isometry. All right. So the first thing we need to do with these examples is we need to come up with the regular points. So this first one here, triangle ABC is the first one I'm going to do. So right now, we need to know, where is point A? Where is point A? -5, -6. Where is point B?
-5,
-3, -2.
I read
You were going C?
Yeah, no, I looked up.
Oh. -3, -2. And C is at -1, -6. All right. So we're going to try to come up with these points under a 90-degree clockwise rotation. So we're going to go 90 degrees clockwise. So let me give you a little hint. Anytime that you go 90 degrees or 270 degrees, you flip your points. Just the numbers. Okay, don't worry about the signs yet. Just the numbers. Okay, so what that means is A should now be 6, 5. We're not doing anything with negatives yet. 6, 5, 2, 3, and 6, 1. Okay. Okay. Now, this is the way I like to do it because I have a hard time remembering which one changes signs when I do 90 and 270. I'm like, wait a second. Should it be my first number? Should it be my second number? Which one do I do? So this is what I do. You always flip your numbers, 90 or 270. Now, we're going 90 degrees clockwise. Right now, what quadrant am I in? Does everybody remember how the quadrants go?
It's a big C.
So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, if I'm in the first quadrant, my signs are positive, positive. Second quadrant,
Negative,
negative, positive, negative, negative,
positive, negative.
and positive, negative. So right now, all of my points, all of my original points were where? Negative, negative. So I'm here. If I go 90 degrees clockwise, where do I go?
Negative, positive.
Negative, positive. So all of your points should be negative, positive. So your first numbers should all be negative, and your second numbers should all be positive because we're going from this quadrant into this one. So if you can remember 90 and 270, always take your numbers, flop them, and then find the quadrant that you're in and change your signs accordingly. And then you won't need to remember the roles. It's a cheat.
Oh,
Miss Smith cheat. Okay. So there's your cheat of the day. Okay. This next one. We first need to figure out where my points are. So right now, L is at 1, -2. Okay. J is at 1, +3. That's the one you were giving me, huh? It's so good. And K is at 3, -2. Okay. This time, I want to take this and we're going to go 180 degrees. Remember, 180 is neither clockwise nor counterclockwise because you end up in the same spot. So 180 degrees, your rule is change both signs. I guess I should put find your quadrant here. $180 degrees. So nothing else changes but the sign of both points. So what that means is 1, -2 is going to become -1, +2. Okay. Positive, positive becomes negative, negative. And positive, negative becomes negative, positive. Okay. Or if you take a look at this last example, okay, on this page, you need to figure out what rotation has happened here. How many quadrants did my figure move? 2. So what degree did this change? 180. Remember, each quadrant is worth 90. So if it's gone 2, that's 90 plus 90, which is 180 degrees.
So it went 180 degrees?
Yep, because it went 1, 2. And each one of those is 90 degrees. Now, there are 15-degree rotation and that kind of stuff. We're not getting into all that. We are not getting into all that.
So are we not writing anything else? For
Nope, that's it. You just needed to tell me what has happened there. So sometimes you're going to have to come up with the points. Other times you're just going to have to tell me what in the world's happened. Okay? If you did not cut out this page, you need to go ahead and do so. Just trim the outside edges. And then I will show you how to fold it. Woo! So I'm going to change your homework assignment because I think you guys are awesome today, and I think you need to have a little bit less work than what I originally had planned. So we're going to change this to, what page did we just finish? 16. So it's going to be practice on page 17 in your notebook. Practice on page 17 in interactive notebook. I'm feeling generous today, which means you only have 6 problems for homework tonight. Ooh la 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 la.
How many was we going to have?
There was like 12.
Oh.
I cut it in
Half
half.
of it.
Not that bad.
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad y'all don't think that's that bad because I gave my seniors 5 problems yesterday. Oh,
That sounds like me.
God.
Oh, for homework? I can do problems. I can do math problems at home. I just hate when I get 6 homework. Then I'm like,
I try not to give you like 27 problems a night. It's not about it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of the homework. You can get the same concept in like 7 questions.
I just don't understand why we have to take civics. The only 2 subjects we have to pass every year is English and math. Why?
So
You have to take all their history.
you need 4 history credits.
And I'm like, I get one every year. Oh my god.
But they're now it was only 3 science credits. Miss Curry's now up me to 4.
Why?
Yeah, but listen, we've just added an honors forensics class.
What's that?
Forensics, anybody watch like CSI, NCIS, Abby Shuto? That is forensics, y'all.
Abby's
That
forensics?
is so
Abby
freaking
Shuto,
cool.
I watch forensic files.
I don't want to do what Abby do. That's
All
her
right.
job. She good.
So,
Not me.
we are going to fold this like an accordion. So, what I mean by that is this first dotted line, I need you to take it and fold it backwards. So, rotations is now away from you. So when you fold it, your page should look like this right this second. With just, oh my goodness, if I could fold straight. Sorry, I get a little crazy about my folds. Okay. So when you fold the first, it should go like this so you can't see rotations anymore.
I'm scared to fold it this way.
Then you're going to take it and fold it forward so rotation comes back to you.
So I'm gonna make it straight.
And then fold it backwards.
And then fold it backwards.
Oh.
And fold it forwards again. So it's going to fold like an accordion. Brandon shines you way ahead of me over here. I got you. I got you, friend. So, oh, I cannot see that.
That's what I said.
Just try to fold it straight.
Yes.
So, by the time it's all said and done, your page should look like
So do we glue the last?
Yes. So when you glue this on, you're only going to glue this last little section at the top like this. So when you open it, it's going to open like this. If you want to wait until we write on this to glue it in, that is fine by me, because I'm going to do so because it's easier to write that way. Before we, yeah, I guess we could have done that too. Oh, no. Huh? I mean, I guess I'm going to get the stuff on the top. It's going to glue in on page 17.
She said you don't have to.
If you want to wait until you write on it, because I think it's easier to do it that way, you can do it that way. Okay, so the first thing I need you to put, and I need you to put this up near the title, so you've got this, okay? I need you to put yourself a little footnote, okay? And that footnote should say, if they don't tell you direction, which means they don't tell you clockwise or counterclockwise, it is always counterclockwise. Okay. Don't ask me why it's backwards, because my first assumption would have been, well, if they don't tell you, it's clockwise, right? Now, that's why I want you to make that footnote on there. If they don't tell you direction, it is always counterclockwise, which I think is crazy, but I can't fix it. Whew. Is that a little bit easier to see? Okay. So, sometimes you're going to have to tell me, where do things end up if we rotate? Okay. So, for instance, rotate C 90 degrees about the point P. So, all that means is P is your center of rotation. So, C is going to go 90 whole degrees. And it doesn't tell you which direction, so it goes counterclockwise. So C is going to end up at point A. Okay. So when C rotates 90 degrees, it would go to A. If it would go 180, it would be at the bottom at G. And finally at E for 270 and a full rotation back. Does that make sense? It's the point of the figure, so it always has to go to the points of the figure. So if we go and rotate H, so now we're starting at H. This is the middle of the line, okay? And we're going 90 degrees. So it's going to go to F. If it starts in the middle of the line, when it rotates, it has to be in the middle of the line. If it does not tell you a direction, it's always counterclockwise. So it's always rotating to your left.
Yeah, but you wrote.
What do you mean?
I could have sworn you just went from H to F, right?
Yes.
Is it that?
So you go from H to B?
Yeah, sure you go to H from H to B.
No.
Okay. Stop. Stop a second. Counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. So that means we rotate this way. If I would rotate clockwise, it would go to B.
So you're starting at H, right?
Yes, I'm starting here. You're fine. Talk to me.
Starting at H, and F is to the right. Or F is to the right.
But it's still counterclockwise. I understand. Okay. I totally get where you're going here. I totally get where you're going. Because they're like, F is to the right of it. I understand that. But when I'm rotating, okay, so, hold on. If H started here, if I rotated and H starts here, where would you tell me it would go 90 degrees?
90 degrees?
Yes.
To the right.
Wait, restate the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I move it, and this is my original figure now, and we're starting at H, and I'm going 90 degrees counterclockwise, where am I going?
B.
That's clockwise.
Oh, no, wait.
Oh, counterclock. F?
We're going to F. Okay, so it's down and around. I totally get why you're doing that, but I can't figure out a way to word it. So if you need to, literally, if you need to, turn your paper. So rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. Counterclockwise means we rotate to the left. So I rotate my paper to the left.
Where is this counterclockwise?
Honey, that's why we made this note up here. If they don't tell you a direction, if they just give you a degrees, you rotate counterclockwise.
I thought you was reading it off the paper.
No,
That's all.
it's always counterclockwise. So if you need to physically rotate it to get it where it needs to go, by all means do it. So I understand that you're going to the right, but all right, somebody help me out here. How do we make this happen?
Because
I totally get why you're pulling that. Clockwise has to go up and to the right. So maybe that'll help. Clockwise is up and to the right. Counterclockwise is down and to the right, maybe.
Yes, to the right.
Oh, now I get what she's saying.
It's still down to.
So it's still to the right, but it's
It's just going in the order.
down and to the right. I don't.
both the left and right.
That's still like.
I mean, I totally. You see where I'm coming from, though? Like, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm like, how do I explain that it's?
I feel so dumb.
No, you're not dumb. Please don't ever think that. Please don't. Yes, Justin.
We'll stick with that.
Yes. Okay.
Why is there trash?
Let's try to go through the next one and see if I can catch some of you that are going, oh my gosh, which direction are we going? Okay, let me see what I can do here. So, rotate F. So this time I'm starting at F. Okay, this time I'm starting at F. I want to go 180 degrees. So that's going to take me to B. 90 degrees would take me up around to D. And then another 90 degrees would take me around to B. Okay. This time we're starting at K.
So H.
We're inside of here. We want to go 180 degrees. Look where K is at. It's the middle of this square. So we should be at M. We're on the inside. So 90 would take me to J. And 180 would take me to M.
So D is not. So what is?
D would be rotation with F, D, B, and H. Because they're the outside points of this. Okay, so the points that go together, maybe this will help. The points that go together and will rotate together. C will rotate with A, G, and E. Okay, they're the outside points of your diamond. Does that make sense? Okay, D rotates with B, H, and F. Okay, Those are the middle outside points of your diamond. And then J, K, M, and L all rotate together. Okay, does that help? So you watch your letters. Okay. Okay. Now, pay attention with this one because we're looking at EF, the line EF. So we're looking at this section right here, EF. We want to go 90 degrees. Careful. This says EF, CD. Good. You have to watch. So EF goes from the blue point to the pink point. So when you name the second one, it's got to go from the blue point to the pink point. You cannot reverse the order of it. Order is going to be very important, my friend. Okay. H to M. It's this little section right here. H to M. And we want to go 90 degrees. F to L. Fantastic. Is the direction starting to click a little bit better?
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Semi.
It makes sense now, but I feel like later I'm gonna be like,
It's just going to be like, oh gosh, no. She's going to go home to do this and be like, I'm done. I'm done. I quit.
That's what I did with civics last night. I was like, you know what? I'm done.
Okay. F, G, H. So that's this triangle right here. F, G, H. I want to go 180 degrees. Okay, be careful. F, G, H. So it's going to go B, C, D. You want to put the triangle because they're talking about a triangle. That's what this little symbol means, triangle FGH. So you should put the triangle there. If you have multiple choice, they will always have the triangle symbol there. Okay. The last one, GLH. So GLH, 90 degrees. Careful. GLH.
EKF.
EKF. Yes. It has to be in that order. It is very important because E corresponds with G, K corresponds with L, H corresponds with F. And we will talk about that a little bit later in Unit 4 when we talk about congruence in triangles. Okay. Are we good?
Where do the sophomores and the upperclassmen go for driving the
The upperclassmen still go to the cafeteria. Mm-hmm. All right. So here's another way for me to spell it out for you. To rotate 90 degrees, we switch the X and Y coordinates, which is what I told you to do on the board. You flip your points. That's what that means. Switch the X and Y coordinates and check the quadrant to determine the sign for the coordinates. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing like we did before. This is going to be the last one we're going to finish. The last one we'll glue in and we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's not a big deal.
So
Okay. I will show you where they go so we can glue them in so you do not lose them. Explain to you what your homework is and be done. Okay, so 90 degrees. Always take your points and flip the numbers. So A is not going to change. It's still 2, 2. B is now going to become 1, 4. And C is now going to become 5, 1. Okay, remember it's 90 degrees. It doesn't tell me a direction, which means we're going counterclockwise. So A starts at negative, negative. So we're in quadrant 3. Okay, where does it go 90 degrees counterclockwise? Quadrant 4. Okay, it goes this way. Around this way. So this is going to end up in quadrant 4. Quadrant 4 signs are positive, negative. Okay. B started at 4, -1. So that already started us in quadrant 4. So when we go 90 degrees counterclockwise, it goes to quadrant 1, which is positive, positive. We leave it alone. C also started in quadrant 4, so it also goes to quadrant 1. So that's positive, positive. You are finished. So be careful when all of your points don't start in the same quadrant. You're going to have to do them all separately then. Okay. All right. This next section, to rotate 180 degrees, we negate. There's a fancy word for you. Negate. Okay, don't let this confuse you. This means change the signs. Negate means to change the signs. So anything that was positive becomes negative, and anything that was negative becomes positive. The numbers don't switch places. So A should be -1, -3. B, -2, 0. Remember, 0 is neither positive nor negative. And 5, 2 becomes -5, -2.
The last one.
Questions?
Can you do the last one?
We're going to do the last one. We got time. We don't leave till 55. Calm. Breathe. We got this. 4-4. We got like 10 minutes. To do a 270, we do a 180-degree rotation and then a 90-degree rotation on top of it. I hate that sentence.
Why don't you
So,
do a whole one?
if you would like, you can put C, rotate 90. Okay, because remember, 270 is the same thing as rotating 90. So I want you to do the same thing that we did in that first example, where you took the points and you switched them, and then you found the quadrant you were in. Okay, it's the same thing. So what I mean by that is I need you to take 1, 4 at J, and it's going to become 4, 1. Switch your points. Then you're going to take the point 5, -1 and make it 1, 5. Switch your points. Okay. Both of these points right now are in what quadrant?
4.
They're both in 4. I'm going 270 degrees counterclockwise from quadrant 4.
So 3.
So 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. What's my sign? Negative, negative. So this is -4, -1, -1, -5. All right. Let me show you where this all glues in and tell you what your homework is. And you're good to go, my friends. So on page 17, you need to fold up your rotations all over again. Whoop, 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 whoop. Back out, back out. Oh my, that's bright. Okay, so you're going to fold this all up, and it's going to go at the top of the page. Then you're going to take that little sheet with the 6 problems on it, and you're going to cut it like this, so it will fit on your page like this. Leave yourself some space in between, because this is going to be your homework tonight. So just like we did the problems on page 16 where you had to write down the original points and then give me the new points once you've done the rotation, that's what you're going to do here. So you're going to give me the original points of the figure, and then you're going to do the rotation that it tells you. Note in the directions that it says clockwise. clockwise. So you are rotating these all clockwise. And give me your new points. So those are your 6 problems for tonight. You can then take this leftover page and glue it in on page 18, and we will finish this tomorrow before we jump into reflection. Are there any questions, my friends? All right.
Muhammad said he got one.